Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today, we have the CRKT HVAS, or HVAS, or VAS. I've heard it spelled and pronounced several different ways. HVAS is what we're going with for now. This is a Jesper Voxnaes design produced by Columbia River Knife and Tool, and what its big party piece is it's one of the several knives now that CRKT is producing with the field strip technology. I was disappointed to learn that field strip technology does not mean that you're allowed to take your clothes off in a field. It means that you can take it apart with no tools, which is also fun, I guess. But it's kind of, I think it's kind of a gimmick, and it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of a gimmick, but it works, and it is cool. I do like you can take it apart with no tools. It is fun to do. It's fun to show your friends that you can do it, and I'm not sure how often I actually use it, but for a knife this design and shape, I chose this one because I wanted to try the field strip technology, and this was the design that appealed to me the most of all the knives they make, because it is a good, no-nonsense blade shape. I love Jesper Voxnaes designs. He's becoming one of my favorite designers, and this was an easy choice for me to be my first field strip knife, and it's pretty darn cool, I do have to say. Let's do some specs and size comparisons before we get too far. And we have an overall length. Again, these are 1-inch squares on this particular background. We have an overall length of just under 8 inches, about 7.9 inches. Blade length of just under 3.4 inches. You have a blade thickness of 0.13 inches. Handle thickness, 0.49 inches. And a weight of 3.8 ounces. So it's not quite what I would call a lightweight, but it's not heavy by any means at all. You can carry it right hand, left hand, tip up only. And as I said, you've got the GRN handles. And the blade steel we'll get into in a minute, but it's 1.4116. All right, let's do some size comparisons here before we get any farther. Compare it to some of the usuals. You have your Spyderco PM2. It's pretty close in its overall size to a PM2. You have another one it's pretty close to, Ontario Rat Model 1. A little bit smaller than that, but not by much. And just for giggles, because this is kind of my reigning champ, I think, in this this kind of size and price range, the Real Steel H5 Gerfalcon. And we'll do one more just for consistency's sake. Here, Spyderco Delica 4. All right, now let's get into the actual review of this particular knife. Quality-wise, pretty darn good, I have to say. Blade centering is excellent. There's no blade play. I know that was some of the... they had a bit of a problem with that on early home fronts. I know a few people had them that had some wicked blade play. This does not. The home front, by the way, was the first knife that CRKT made with this field strip technology. They seem to have figured out whatever it was they were doing wrong, because it no blade play whatsoever, and the action's pretty smooth and everything. I really don't have many issues with the quality, except for, I guess this goes into both quality and just the aesthetics of it. The GRN handles do look a little cheap, not dramatically cheap, but this is a $58 knife. This isn't a $40 knife, and yeah, I kind of think of that. They look okay from 3-4 feet away, but when you're really looking at it, it's not the prettiest thing in the world. But that's really kind of a minor gripe, because they do work really well. The grippiness on them is grippy enough for me, in my particular skin makeup, and it's pretty cool. And I guess this is the best point to demonstrate the field strip technology, because this does also weigh into my one other minor little quality gripe I have, and I think it's fixed now. But here's how you take it apart. It's super simple. All you do, flick this switch, turn this little wheel on the back, lots and lots, and it's apart. No, I screwed it back in there. Yeah, it's apart. Just boom, like that. Now, here's the quality issue, and it just did it. And maybe I'm just wrong here. Someone correct me if I am, but in all the other videos I see of field strip stuff, these washers stay in the scale. Mine only does that about 2/3 of the time. The other third of the time it does this. The washer comes out and stays attached to the scale. That's why they use these Teflon washers, to my understanding. And again, could be wrong, but it's so that they stay with the scale, because you're supposed to be able to like wash this off in a river or whatever. Obviously you can if you got a washer floating around, because your washer's going to be down the river. So yeah, that's the only issue I have with it quality wise, is just that washer doesn't always stick in there. Now, I know that it's not a big thing to me. It doesn't bother me, and I may be wrong. Maybe on this particular this particular field strip knife, they're supposed to fall out. I don't know, but that's it. That's the only issue I really have with it quality wise. The scales are a taste thing. I can't really call that too big of a problem. And then to put it back together, you just reverse the process. It works best if you kind of try and get it level. And then you just turn the wheel the other way. And in she goes. And just crank that down good and tight. Now my fingers are all oily because I was playing with that washer. Yeah, switch thumbs. There you go. And then flick this switch. Sometimes you gotta I found you gotta give the blade a little wiggle, and then it'll snap down. And if you push it down, you get some resistance. I just give the blade a little wiggle and it pops in. But it pops right back in, and still centered. Still no blade play. It's a gimmick. It's a party trick, in my opinion. But as gimmicks and party tricks go, it's a pretty darn good one. You have to admit, that's pretty cool. I don't think it's something that would make me buy or not buy a knife, but it's pretty sweet. And I can get why they charge a bit more for it. I'm sure that took a lot of engineering and stuff to figure that out. It is pretty sweet. Now let's get on to the blade. Always one of the most important parts of a knife, because you want it to be able to cut things. It is made of 1.4116 steel. According to CRKT, they harden this to a hardness of between 55 and 57 Rockwell, which is not super hard, definitely. Pretty much on that hardness scale equivalent to like 420 HC or 440A. It's not super impressive, but it is very, 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 very stain resistant, and also very easy to sharpen. I did take this out to ye old cardboard pile and hacked at a whole bunch of cardboard with it, and it held an edge for an acceptable amount of time. And then I just came in and gave it a little few swipes on the Lansky turn box, and it was fine. It's super easy to sharpen. No problems at all. I'm okay with it. I really am. It's so stain resistant. I can kind of get why they chose it. I much prefer it over HCR 13. I will say that from my limited experience. This is the first knife I've ever had with this steel on it. I read somewhere that it's also the same steel that Swiss Army knives use, but I can't really verify that, so I'm not. Don't quote me on that necessarily, but I'm all right with the steel choice, and the blade shape I love. It's a nice hollow grind, kind of drop point, and super thin behind the edge. It is very, very, very slicey. And as I said, it's very easy to put a super sharp edge on this. So you put that super sharp edge on it with that really thin behind the edge hollow grind, and this thing is a slicer. Absolutely, 100% for sure. I really do like that about it. I also like the ergonomics of it. Very good. You know, this is the kind of grip you're normally going to use it in. You can feel the marks from the liner lock a little bit, but it's not horrible. I don't feel the pocket clip at all. My particular hand shape, I don't feel it. It does have a forward choil that you can choke up on, but I wouldn't do that for anything super heavy duty, because even my skinny little fingers, you can see, are getting really close to getting cut there. They didn't finish off the sharpening choil, which people are going to complain about that, I'm sure, but it's close enough for me for the sharpening systems that I use. Carry-wise, also, it's got that deep carry pocket clip, and it's not particularly wide in the pocket. We'll compare it to something that's similarly priced to like Rat Model 2 or Rat Model 1, and you'll see it's about the same thickness or same height, whatever word you want to use, as that, and it carries nice and deep in the pocket. I think it's a great carry, and it's not particularly heavy. It's under 4 ounces. It's a easy knife to carry, would be great for hiking and stuff like that, and with the field strip technology, that's kind of what I think they intend you to be using this for. The deployment, also, even though it runs on Teflon bushings, I can see why they chose them for this knife, and it works. They work great. I mean, it's really smooth. It's not fall shutty, but it's not far off. I mean, you got to give it a couple shakes, but it will fall shut without you having to touch the blade. You can just give it a couple flicks with the wrist and it closes. That's not bad for Teflon bushings. Will they last that long and keep that way for very long? I don't know. That remains to be seen. But my overall conclusion is, yeah, this thing rocks a lot more than I thought it would. I honestly was not expecting to like it much at all. I thought I would say, oh, the field strip is cool, but the knife is cheap. And I don't feel that way. After carrying it for a few days, I don't feel that way. It is, I think it's, this is odd. I guess my CRKT PLR review was relatively positive. So, because I love the design of the PLR, but I really don't like that it's 8CR and the weight of it. But this is 2 fairly positive CRKT reviews in a row after not having reviewed any CRKTs because I said I didn't like CRKTs. I may have to revisit that and review some more. I'm sure I'll find a couple that I don't like, but this is a pretty great knife. I actually really recommend this. If you want to get a field strip technology CRKT, this is the one I would get, the HVAS. So go check it out at your local retailer. I've been Brian. I hope you've enjoyed this. Have a good one.